If you thought Hannibal Lecter was creepy, wait until you see what we've got in store for you. This video is going to be a two-part series, and we're going to include 6 of the 12 scariest creepypastas that are on the web. If you're in for a real scare, we'd suggest turning off the lights and turning the volume up. So without further ado, let's see the 12 scariest creepypasta stories of all time. Let's dive right into the world of spooky and creepy, shall we? Number 6. The Rake. Well, if you haven't heard of this creature before, it's that much better. There have been numerous sightings of what appeared to be a bald and hairless, skinny man whose eyes glow like those of a dog, and no one knows why. But the creature has been seen in people's dreams, appearing for no apparent reason. This creature has been traumatizing people ever since the 12th century. How do we know? Well, it is because many of the documented cases that were found all speak of a very similar creature that walks the night and terrifies the hosts in their home. Sometimes it even chases them out of their own home. This seemingly innocent thing began gaining traction back in the summer of 2003. It was seen in the rural parts of New York, and soon after, a blackout that occurred. This was devastating for all of the information related to the creature, as most of what people knew about it was destroyed. There have been similar records of this entity across 4 continents, and most of them speak about a hairless being that appears in their sleep. One woman from 1964 wrote about how she had decided to take her own life because she was sleep deprived. Every time that she'd close her eyes, the hairless man would appear in her dreams. For her, the only way to stop it from tyrannizing her life was through suicide. The woman even heard this creature muster the name Linny, one of her dear friends. But before she could tell her what the creature wanted, she took her own life. Number 5. Russian Sleep Experiment. If you thought that Russia is scary now, wait till you hear what has happened in one of the research facilities in this communist state. It's the late 1940s, and a group of scientists want to explore the effects of sleep deprivation on the human body. They gathered a group of 5 test subjects who agreed to participate in the experiment. They then told them that the experiment would last 30 days, and they would be exposed to some sort of an airborne gas that would prohibit them from sleeping. And after the experiment was over, they were promised they'd let them go. But not a single soul survived. Do you want to know what happened inside this gas chamber? Well, the first few days, everything was okay. They were talking to one another with no problem, and they were even talking to the scientists through the two-way mirror. Now, things started to get interesting around the 9th day. If you'd like us to continue with the story, don't forget to smash that like button. It helps us out a lot. One prisoner began screaming for hours and hours, and he eventually tore his own vocal cords out. What did the others do? They remained silent and quiet, as if nothing happened. They began taping the windows with book leaves and threw feces at them. With the scientists having no way of entering the chamber, they decided to see what happened on the 15th day. There was 4 inches of blood and water on the floor. They tore pieces of flesh and bone from their body and later ate it. Not to mention, they even took out their own organs. In this chaos, one of the test subjects lost their lives. Soon after, many of the subjects lost their lives in the experiment. The last one, before being shot by the police officer, said, "I am an inherent evil inside the human mind that is kept in check by the act of sleeping." Number 4. No End House. This creepypasta became exceptionally famous in the past years. It revolves around the adventures of a person and his disbelief for the occult. He can't seem to be able to quench his thirst for a real scare, so when he sees a challenge, he takes it. So, it happened with No End House. It's said to give a prize of $500 to anyone who manages to get out of the 9 rooms in the house. The person thought to themselves that this is a win-win combo. They'll get to pass a night in a scary house, which he believes doesn't exist, and also get to make around $500 in 12 hours. Nice. He gets in, and he starts the tour. The first room is easy, but what awaits him in the following 8 was not what he expected. It's even said that no one has gotten out alive from there, but this person didn't know that. He just thought it would be a good adventure. The 5,000-word creepypasta was so popular that there's even a show made for it. Channel Zero really believed in this story, and they turned all of the adventures into a horror show. Number 3. Anora Petrova. This is a real-life example of what could happen if you decide to Google yourself online. When Anora Petrova, an amateur ice skater, was in the 8th grade, she decided to look up her name on Google and see what comes up. She eventually came across a Wikipedia page all about her life. But this was no ordinary biographical Wikipedia page. This one possessed the power to tell the future. In it, it said that Anora would win the Crystal Classic in ice skating. She was skeptical at first, but then, when the prediction came true, she was astonished. And the page predicted that she would win every following competition. Her parents even got her a professional coach and got her to try out for the Olympics. But her coach was not happy with her progress. Seeing how her friend got most of the attention, she wanted to alter her fate by writing on her Wikipedia page, making her the winner instead of her friend. This was the moment her entire life would change forever. After refreshing the page, it said, Anora Petrova is a little bee who is going to get what she deserves. It foretold her parents' death, her downward spiraling career, and even her own death in Switzerland. She locked herself in the motel room and kept refreshing the page, hoping it would change. But it never did. Anora died on October 24th, 2010. Gateway of the Minds. It was 1983, and a group of scientists started speculating that if all of our senses were severed, man could finally get in touch with God. One elderly man, having nothing left to live for, volunteered for the study. The scientist severed all of the nervous connections of his senses. The only thing functioning were his muscles. The man didn't feel any different in the first few days, and then it happened. The man began talking with his already deceased wife. His eyes became filled with tears, and he eventually started talking with a lot of deceased relatives of the doctors, revealing information that only they could know. Although his speech was impaired because of the surgery, the doctors could understand some of the mumbling. But this was a power he couldn't handle. The voices became overwhelming. All he could hear were the dead. They were too numerous. The man began tearing out his dysfunction eyes, in the hopes he would feel something. When nothing else worked, he wanted to be put to sleep. Even the voices haunted him. When he woke up, the man told the scientists that he had spoken to God. He has said that he abandoned us, and those were his very last words. Number 1. The Expressionless. Cedars-Sinai Hospital had a particularly unusual patient. It was June 1972. A woman with a white face walked inside the hospital. Her white gown had turned red from the squirting blood coming out of her mouth. She then opened it and revealed a kitten she had just eaten. Seconds after, she collapsed on the floor. The doctors rushed this patient to the ER. She looked more like a mannequin than a human. 2 nurses and a doctor walked in the room. She smiled for the first time. One nurse fell back to the corner of the room and screamed in terror. Her mouth was not filled with teeth. It was full of sharp, long spikes. No one could hold her down anymore. She fought with such force that they couldn't stop her from ripping the throat off one of the doctors. As the blood sprayed everywhere, the only thing the doctor could ask it was, "Who the heck are you?" "I am God." It responded with a whisper in his ear. With his dying breath, the doctor watched as the creature feasted on the bodies of the security guards that were standing at the door. She couldn't be stopped. The only survivor left was the nurse crippled in the corner of the room. She is the one that tells of the tale and gave her the name, the Expressionless. And on that note, we end this video. But hey, which of these creepypastas made you paranoid for the most? You can tell us in the comment section below. If you'd like more videos like these, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss any of them. And as always, thanks for watching, guys.